Is it going? There we go. I managed to get us a very precise picture of what's happening in the world right now. It's a remarkable photo. I polled the ELT recently on our feelings about whether there'll be social unrest around the election. In response, they've unanimously agreed that an additional third-party candidate should be one of our vet tech dogs named R2. Personally, I think Richard Pryor got it right in 1985 in the movie Brewster's Millions, although we should definitely examine all of our options and surprise VP candidates. We need to make sure that our candidate passes physical fitness tests and mental acuity tests. And finally, we must make sure that our nation's top candidates are selected using only the most time-tested and thoroughly vetted systems available. To make sure we maintain the right perspective, remember that presidents are temporary, but Wu-Tang is forever. I took this picture with my son in New York. We were passing by a little shop, and they had this in the window. This sentiment, of course, competes for ad space with the novel concept of loving thy neighbor. This year will indeed prove to be a different one, and in seriousness, over the summer, ELT attended the Council of Independent Colleges program on how colleges can best handle the upcoming election. We're as prepared as anyone can be, and the truest things are said in jest, which is to say that the consensus of ELT is that there is indeed some risk of social unrest around the election. And as we've said before, many of our students are often so focused on just making sure that their essential needs are met and that they're able to persist through college, they don't have the same opportunities as others to focus on the issues in our political environment. It is up to us to help to bring the world to them. This is not to say that we bog them down with our risk assessments, but it is to say that they need to be well-apprised citizens consistent with our Manor College mission, which calls upon us to encourage them to develop their sense of inquiry, their critical thinking, effective communication skills, and to provide them with opportunities to serve our community so that Manor graduates are prepared to serve society effectively and compassionately. On Welcome Back Day, it's important for us to thank the Sisters of St. Basil the Great for their prayers and their ministry that is Manor College. We thank Board of Trustees Chairman Dennis McGrath and all of our trustees for gifting their knowledge, their leadership, and their support. As an institution, we are holistically Basilian. And last year, our theme was respect for the dignity of each person and encouraging our students to reach. Like prior year's themes, these sentiments remain true. This year, our theme is caring synergy. And what we mean by this is that, like any organization, we have a community with different perspectives and personalities. The richness of that is our diversity of thinking. The challenge that is not unique to us lies in when it becomes more difficult to get along with some people than others. Everyone is committed to our students, but for some folks, the kindness of our Basilian campus could flow through a little stronger. We spend more of our waking hours with each other than we do with our own families. As we spend this kind of time with each other, let's live in caring synergy. Yes, we should express intellectual opinions. Yes, we should have differences of opinion. We always, always, always have to treat each other with the values of dignity and respect that are called for in Manor College's core values. And we need to do more than that. We need to be synergistic with each other so that as an institution of higher learning, we are operating optimally for those whom we serve, our students. Our students are first. If we're going to be authentic to that, it means that keeping them at top of mind pushes us into the act of treating each other as more than colleagues. We are indeed a kind of family, a modern family. Didn't you love that show? Actually, we're this modern family. There's always one Claire. You know who you are. And I love this picture of David. He really could be on the show. Our students need us now more than ever. Our students are 60% from Philadelphia, 60% diverse, 65% first generation, 80% working while in college, and 94% need and receive financial assistance. Those data tell us how essential it is that our students receive our authentic care and encouragement. We already know what it means to leverage our talents to help our students with these diverse backgrounds, and their diversity is continuing to diversify. 2 weeks ago, can you see that clearly? 2 weeks ago, I got an email from one of our elected officials who said, "Good afternoon. The U.S. is projected to undergo profound demographic changes in the next 30 years in racial and ethnic composition. Is there anyone at your school that's exploring the implications of these projected U.S. population shifts in the next 30 years on representation in government and business and philanthropy?" And I responded yes, and followed up with the official, copying them on this graph from the Inquirer article published 2 days before their email. The future that is at our doorstep is that we have to increase our attractiveness to students of increasingly diverse and shifting demographics. In this last year, I was blessed to help trustee and board treasurer Jim Nevels with a chapter in Richard LeBlanc's authoritative handbook of board governance. In it, Jim cited a study that evidenced that, quote, ethnically diverse companies are 36% more likely to have financial returns above their national industry medians. And the study notes similar for gender diversity. If we take the elected officials' point and Jim's point together, what they tell us is that we need to attend to shifting demographics with open arms and open hearts. And we are doing that. But one cannot know even the fundamentals of another's culture unless they become engaged. Caring synergy in this context means that we outreach to our students in ways that support them in the culture they grew up with. An example is that for some parents of students, their cultural ideology is that work immediately after high school is what supports the family. And it does. But given 4 extra years of education, household wealth increases from $421,000 to $1.86 million. So how we share this information with parents is absolutely critical. These are not numbers to be flouted as proof positive. For the parent, not having the child contributing for 2 or 4 more years impacts household finances negatively. So this conversation has to be one of diplomacy, of care, of visioning, of sacrificing more today so that the future is brighter not just for the child, but for the child's children and generations out. Sometimes we have parents who don't want to fill out the FAFSA for the reasons stated, or due to distrust of government, we get that a lot, or for fear of being more financially liable than they want to be. These are all delicate topics for them and for us, and all the more reason we must commit to caring synergy. Higher education nationally in addition to the demographic shifts, is seeing fewer students going to college in our country because of the FAFSA. If you haven't heard, there's been a national FAFSA debacle. That is, Congress encouraged the Department of Education to streamline the financial aid process. The Department of Education endeavored to do that, but with grave mistakes and errors, with the online application becoming all but entirely unmanageable. Without going into great detail, as of June 28th, according to the National College Attainment Network, only 46% of American new high school graduates had completed the FAFSA. 46%. A year ago, that number was 53%. The Chronicle of Higher Education said for 2 days later that when the June 30th deadline to fill out the FAFSA had passed, the damage was clear. That's the words they used. The damage was clear. Completion of the form among high school seniors was down 11.6% from 2023, a decline of roughly 200,000 submissions, and that's just the new freshmen. Since we're going to be offering CIC's Artificial Intelligence Ready program this year to anyone who wishes to attend, it's not too late to sign up. Send me an email if you want to be a part of it. I asked Google's artificial intelligence, Gemini, to estimate the total number of college students in America for fall of 2024 and to make up a chart showing the last few years in contrast. It did remarkably well. Here's the chart. It shows a raw number decreased from 14.93 million last fall to about 14.55 this fall. That's a bit less than 500,000 decrease, which isn't just the freshmen, obviously. It's everyone not coming to college who otherwise would have in a non-FAFSA debacle year. So that number that Gemini estimated is about the same decrease that many others are saying. It might be a little more conservative. I've seen estimates as high as above 3 million. I then asked Gemini to give a more accurate number using NCES data through a number of different inquiries. I had to ask it several times in several ways, and it took 2 weeks, and it worked away, and it worked away in the background on my computer and wherever it works, and it failed miserably, saying essentially that the government's data was too large and too confounding. So it is becoming smarter by the minute and is definitely something to respect and behold, but it won't be replacing John Krebs. At the state level, the decrease in applications for low-income students, like many of ours, is evident from this Pennsylvania Department of Education chart that shows a negative 25.3% in FAFSA application completion. This decrease is greater than the decrease caused by the pandemic. Likewise, we are a highly diverse institution. Minority decreases, you can see the numbers in the blue on the bottom there, are negative 19.8%. And a majority of our students come from Philadelphia, and the city student decreases are negative 25.8%. So that shared, this sort of going up and to the right kind of a thing is actually not a good thing. The national FAFSA debacle has driven a focus on college affordability. About 3/4 or 76% of American students said that the financial aid amount awarded to them and the overall financial aid process itself was the top drivers of their choice about where to go to college. This particular chart is Aleutian and EMI Research Solutions. They did that in March. And so what this means is that the upward trend of student financial aid need and acceptance is being compounded and furthered by the FAFSA debacle. This is how much they need. It's going up. Okay, tuition and fees plus room and board for a 4-year private college in America averaged $56,000 and change last school year. In the 4-year in-state public colleges, it was $24,000 and change. That's according to the College Board. And so room and board are lumped together here on the 2 left columns. Manor's tuition, it's disaggregated with our room and board. So tuition's $19,900 and room and board is $11,900. And that's a year, making us the most affordable college in the Philadelphia region and among the most affordable in the state. And that takes us to our next slide, which is the key value points about Manor for our prospective students. Our specific value proposition, it distinguishes us in the marketplace. We're the best priced private college in the Philadelphia metro area. We offer more than 30 degrees and programs. Our students graduate with low debt, and 94% of our students get financial aid. The national average for the 8+ years that I've been here, I've been saying that the national average is 85%. It's now 87%. So that tells you how there's a disparity in wealth in America that's growing. We maintain a 12-to-1 student-teacher ratio. We remain the second safest ranked college in the nation by stateuniversity.com. We've been recognized by the New York Times for being the best in the area for the intergenerational economic mobility of our students. We are a majority ethnically and racially diverse student population founded by welcoming and caring religious Ukrainian women. We have a new You Belong Here Advantage program, and for our first-time full-time freshmen, comprised of, we have the following incentives included: free with the cost of tuition. And this is unique to us. There are others that are doing parts of this in the marketplace, but we're the only ones that we can identify who are doing all of these great things for our future and incoming students. The free laptops, books, basic meal plan. We have recently updated our fitness center, and that's free for use for our students. We've got the free tuition summer courses. That's thanks to some benefactors that I'll mention in a moment. And our free summer bridge college preparatory program, thanks to our Title III grant and our committee who brought that together. So this year, our retention is going in the right direction and growing by the minute as we work towards the fall. It's trending positive thanks to the collaborative efforts of outstanding faculty and their advisorship, academic affairs and enrollment management, our summer scholars program, and the work of everyone in this room and everyone in our community who has taken seriously the calls of the past that everyone on campus is in admissions and retention. Here is our 5-year, year-over-year admissions comparison. The one on the far right is the current year. And if you look from top to bottom, we call this the funnel, and it shows our progress. So look at how remarkable this is. As we look across these years, what we see here is that at the top of the funnel, we are 500 students or more than where we were pre-pandemic. It's huge numbers at the top of our funnel. Almost all the way down the funnel, our numbers are rocking the pre-pandemic numbers. And the challenge comes as we get further down. You know, we historically had been about 10% enrolled from what our top line number was. So the challenge, because of the pandemic and now because of the FAFSA, that comes further down. So we're doing quite well. And I had one college, I've had probably 4 or 5 college presidents call me up and tell me the same kind of thing in this area and saying that their institutions are really suffering. So we are bucking the trend, and we're doing better than many, if not most, of our competition. The hang-up is the FAFSA. It's also media nullifications of the value of higher education. It's students electing for dead-end jobs that appear to be higher paying because of the economy, and the changing and shrinking population demographics. Here are our projections for how we finish out this year's freshman class on the left in the numbers. Again, they're good numbers and we're close to our targets. It's important that we finish strong, and we will. Admissions has shared some future projections as well, going to the right. Our admissions office leadership is energized by Dr. Gillespie. We welcome Dr. Reginald Miles, Dean of Enrollment Management. We also congratulate John Simula on his promotion to Assistant Director of Admissions. Congratulations, John. Also in admissions are Damien, admissions counselor and alumnus, Aaliyah, counselor, Ryan, counselor, and Matthew Davis, our new office manager. We welcome Ryan and Matthew more newly to the admissions office. We had robust admissions events again. Excuse me, here's our fall on-campus group visits. So this is 22 total visits this year. This is almost twice as many. There was 13 last year. And here's our campus events. We generally get about a 50 to 65% show rate, which is what you're seeing up here at each event. And then we have our our spring group events. So now this is 18 that we had last year versus 8 the year before. And again, our on-campus events, 50 to 60% show rate here as well. So on the left now, last year, we had about 200 school visits conducted, which were less than 2 years prior. In the middle, we attended 162 college fairs last year, less than the prior year, but more than 2 years ago. And on the right, you can see our efficiency. And that is, we had 7,746 inquiry cards, which is 3,000 above the prior year and 6,000 above 2 years prior to that. And each card's data was added to our admissions CRM system. So these efforts collectively positioned us well in a very, very competitive recruitment environment with growth projected through 2025. Thank you to our admissions team. Of course, it couldn't happen without our newly promoted Executive Director of Financial Aid, Chris Hartman, and our financial aid team, who continues to assist 94% of our students to receive financial aid. Chris, Nick, and Rosie have been fully committed to getting our students to goal despite and in response to the FAFSA debacle and all the issues that surround the higher ed landscape. Thank you, Chris, Nick, and Rosie. This year, it warrants special mention that Chris and Tom Sims and Snee Talati worked together after Tom helped us to achieve the Madeline Dean Grant. And they and the financial aid team facilitated some 200 of our students who are first generation, immigrant, and refugee to achieve unprecedented levels of tuition scholarships. On top of that, we ran a special promotion called the President's Tuition Forgiveness Program that has thus far assisted more than 25 students who had past overdue balances of $2,000 or less to have their tuition pay down brought up to current, and then that was allowed provided that they paid 10% of their outstanding balance. These funds were actually underutilized already existing financial aid dollars that we put to new and good use to increase retention. And for this, we thank Chris and John Singh and Snee. Thank you. With the FAFSA debacle impacting just about every institution in the U.S., it's essential that we maintain strong fiscal policy. We have intentionally decreased our budget this fiscal year. In the simplest terms, that means we aren't doing what many others are doing. That is, we're not overspending. Instead, we're controlling costs. We continue to be financially sound as an institution because we're fiscally prudent, and many others around us are neither sound nor prudent. I would actually venture the boldness to say that in our region, the majority of institutions like us and somewhat bigger than us are at risk concerning fiscal soundness. We have virtually no debt. We have a growing endowment. We have rainy day and capital project savings. And because we run Manor with such fiscal stewardship for the past almost 9 years, we get to say that Manor is the best priced private institution in the Philadelphia metro area. Every institution around us has to pass the cost of their loan monthly debt service payments to their students, and that goes to them in the form of higher tuition. We don't have to do that. There's a reason for keeping a tight budget and a small budget. When you operate a balanced budget and not a deficit, you don't get upside down. Our budget for this fiscal year is a balanced budget. That's what we aim for every year, and that's one of the things that we do better than most. Every year, certain people get tight about our budget, and that's understandable considering what's happening to other institutions around us, but that's not us. For us, it's about putting our dollars in the right places. It's about creating new efficiencies, reducing waste, and taking risks on new endeavors that yield strong results. We take a methodical, strategic approach to invest in our campus community of people, and we make improvements and renovations out of operating budgets instead of borrowing our way into debt. We take risks on new programs, and we win some, and we lose some. But we have won, and we will win more than we lose, keeping us net positive. Instead of inflating tuition discounts, we find supplementary revenues. Instead of slashing our tuition prices like some colleges and universities who had and have falsely inflated theirs, we maintain the course of having a reasonable, affordable tuition. Instead of promising things we can't deliver, like $1,000 total cost tuition, as one public institution in our backyard did, we keep our tuition priced actually affordable, and we don't have to backpedal when we get to September. Our past chairman of our board, Chairman Emeritus Leonard Mazur, once said to me, "You can't buy into the flavor of the day. You have to engage in the best practices," and we sure do. John Singh, Snee Talati, and Michael Snyder are our business office, and they have been astutely operating our finances. Jessica Whitmer just joined them yesterday, and we welcome her. You may have heard that they're working on the audit, and with a small team of additional staff. Our audit from the prior year was delayed because of the transition from our prior CFO to our interim George, coupled with the transition from CAMS to Anthology, and that audit will soon be done. And because of the new systems that our finance team has put into place, the most recent year's audit will be done perhaps in our quickest turnaround time since I've been here. It's important for me to drill down a bit further here to say a special thank you to our business office team. They have labored to reduce our fixed costs with the support of our IT team, with ELT, and with all of us, with some real significance. We're talking about maybe $750,000 to $1 million in savings just from stewarding our vendors better and reining in contracts. That's a great job, guys. Thank you. John oversees facilities too, and because we've improved, is it not going? There we are. Because we've improved so very much of our facilities over the last few years, we now stand in a position of strength, whereas our competitors continue to struggle with deferred maintenance. Deferred maintenance means facilities issues that institutions can't yet afford to fix. We have only one significant deferred maintenance issue, and it's some underground electrical service that we need to replace. It's costly to do it, and our plan is to get it done in this academic year in ways that do not interrupt our work and then into next summer. So underground electric, it's not much to look at, but it is essential. And last year at this time, I said that solar was possible. This was connected with our campus master planning process, and we continued down that road. And unfortunately, it came to an end. We examined the costs and benefits of solar rigorously. And here's what it came down to. As you can see in this slide, which was a proposed solar canopy over the entire sort of back half of our parking lot. The green line is the cost of solar and electric, and the yellow is electric alone. Excuse me. In this case, we would have realized no gain until 20 years from now, and in the short term, the lines are close together using the assumption that we would get cash back from a government incentive. In other words, the green is sort of inflatedly low. And so it's tricky, the government incentive, because of the presidential election, and we're not sure that that incentive was going to stick around, and the cash back isn't guaranteed. So if we made the wrong decision, the cost of the green line would be about a third more than the yellow, and not just a little more. The next slide here is rooftop solar instead of a carport on top of our buildings. So here the green line's a little cheaper if you get the government incentives. And if not, it's a lot more. More importantly, even if we got the government funding, putting stuff on our roof, if you know the history of our roofs before we got them all redone, there were several of us who were hanging out in the middle of the library with tarps, collecting rain and putting it out the window. Putting stuff on the roofs is really not a very smart thing to do. So in other words, if we had as little as $1.7 million in solar or rooftop repairs across the next 30 years, we made the wrong choice. And our rooftops today are already six-figure replacements for each one. So in 15 or 29 years, they're going to be a lot more. We also had another variation of this same slide where we cut down trees to get more solar revenues. Not what we wanted to do. And the difference was nominal, with the conclusions being the same, and that is that solar hasn't come far enough along to make sense for us right now. Yes, there's more to life than money, including the green initiatives, but given the gravity of the financial risk, we decided to table the matter for the moment, though not forever. We can reopen the door on solar after the election if we wish, but we first need to be able to see whether those government incentives have longevity or even the potential to grow. And I want to again credit John and Snee here. John asked some big picture questions of our consultants, and Snee, he was sort of a bit of a lawyer with our campus master planning folks. The consultants initially painted a rosier picture than the newer slides that I'm sort of sharing with you now. John drilled down, and Sneed did his work, along with our members of our board finance committee, with credit especially to our board chairman, Dennis McGrath. And the consultants, they were really great. But our own vetting process, with our own community of leaders, they made the consultants better. And that in turn gave us a more realistic and reliable set of projections and better foresight on the variables that can be and cannot be forecast. So as such, we're going to go with the yellow line, which is to say that our electric project is what we're going to pursue. We do still want some electric car charging stations on campus, and that's something that Tom Sims it's already on his radar for a possible grant. And if in any of your spheres you see a grant for that kind of thing, please let Tom know. So with our IT team, Ilya Kniznik has already been leading change par excellence. With Jason and Kareem, the team is really the best it's ever been. And we thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Actually, about 3 days ago, this projector, the old projector, went completely out, and they replaced it in no turnaround time at all. So here's just a few of the IT improvements that have happened and that are in progress. The one that we probably heard about from our students the most was the Wi-Fi in the residence hall. That's been resolved, and a next layer solution is now forthcoming, but there's a lot on their laundry list. Our maintenance team, Jimmy and Tom, Tom doubles as our women's soccer head coach and men's assistant coach. They and our contractors have kept our facilities contemporary and great order. They're in great order and renovated. And they're doing far more than most campus maintenance teams do on a college campus. We thank you, Jimmy and Tom. At the intersection of marketing, facilities, and student affairs are a few projects like the fitness center. It has now some wonderful new equipment. And at the bottom left there, you can see we've got some marketing mock-ups as well as for the Career Center and Practical Nursing. The student lounge, the Nest, any day now, that will have a new look. It kind of already does have a new look, but it's going to have a new look. Plus some new furniture, tables, desks. We've added already, if you haven't seen it, a study bar on the third floor of the Mother of Perpetual Help building near the elevator. And we've also added some chairs in the hallway there. We're adding, if you haven't seen, we got a new van. What we did was we traded out the old van. This is one of the efficiency things. So we had the 15 passenger van and the 25 passenger van. We got rid of the 25 because nobody used it because you need a CDL to drive it. And instead we got another 15 passenger. And so marketing is already working on the adding of that logo, our logo, to the new van. We're refreshing our campus pictures too. And so this year, Manor's marketing office launched a new commercial. I don't know if can we do that commercial while we're right here? While Kelly's launching that, it was placed on 43 different networks and several choice NBA Sixers games.
Sorry.
Okay. There we go. Thank you. Our advertising strategy last year was one that focused on bold blues and strong photography. Marketing positioned large and striking photos as the focal point of our ads. We used powerful and eye-catching advertisements for both the digital and out-of-home campaigns. Allison Myers, our Director of Creative Services, completed 140 different design projects last year, and she's been diligent with finding ways to improve and build upon Manor College's brand. The marketing office has focused this year on giving brand extensions to the many varying events and activities and programs and traditions here at Manor. These are just a few of our new brand extensions that have been created in just the last year. Our media placements, which are unpaid advertising, such as articles written about Manor or faculty or staff in the news, were dramatic in 2022 during the early days of the escalation of Russia's unprovoked war with Ukraine. Controlling for that one on the right, as you can see on the far right, we're trending better every year, and we continue to leverage new relationships to grow average placements across the years. We thank Anthony, not only for his magic today, but also for writing 65 stories last year, getting us into the media effectively and keeping us well apprised, such as through Manor Now. Our marketing dashboard shows created applications are up. That's the third column to the right there. At first blush, when you look at the whole chart, it kind of looks like a bit of a mixed bag. But when you look at that third column, Kelly's approach is actually one of efficiency, which is to say that we're doing more with less. And that is called progress. And it's what every organization strives to accomplish. So to do this, our marketing office focuses on the growth of select social media channels. In the 2024 Student Experience Survey conducted by John Krebs, results showed that 94% of our students enjoy seeing Manor College content in their social media feeds. This is a 4% increase just in the last year in our survey results. Our total number of posts are up across the board, and our viewership and interactions are up with stories and high-quality post content. Likewise, Our number of followers is up. You can see all the pluses on the right here. This is where our students are, social media. We need to bring ourselves to them where they are today. Congratulations to Manor's marketing team for earning 5 CUPE awards at the 2024 CUP-RAP Spring Professional Development Conference. This represents the most awards in our institutional history, probably more than most institutions. The CUPEs are annual awards presented by the college and university public relations and associated professionals organization. They're given for creative excellence in marketing and communications in categories including advertising, electronic media, print, and more. Our Manor College received 5 awards competing against much bigger and more well-resourced universities than us. We earned gold for print for our postcards, for the Blue Jay Blast-Off postcards, silver for executive communications, and that was the op-ed that Marty Trudeau wrote on the need for practical nurses in our community. Thank you, Marty. We got bronze for athletic communications for social media game day graphics. Honorable mention for our admissions viewbook. Honorable mention in a wild card category for our Ukrainian bread making event that honored the 1-year point in the war in Ukraine. Last year, our marketing office started redoing the academic web pages as well on Manor EDU, creating new templates to be followed so that each academic program includes where alumni work and alumni spotlights, and these are just 2 sections of examples of web pages. There's much more that marketing and communications is involved with. Manny's Market. Manny's Market's moved to a new business model, and we welcome Tamara Ellaby into being the new marketing manager. All right, Tamara. Marketing is also in charge of Manor Now, and with student affairs, our student ambassadors, alumni engagement, and the list continues. And our student presidential ambassadors, that program really coalesced thanks to Kelly and Allie. Thank you both. With 10 students who assisted at 44 of our events and helped us with fundraising throughout the year. Our new class of ambassadors has just been sworn in, and they are definitely energized for the year. Until this last year, Kelly has been overseeing both marketing and communications and our advancement offices. We welcome back Tom Sims, who took over the advancement role, and Kelly will be retaining alumni engagement with marketing. 2 years ago, advancement increased its annual total goal from about $500,000 to $575,000. And thanks to Kelly and Tom, we've consistently stayed above that goal last year and this year and the year before. We've more than doubled it last year, thanks to their work. Thank you both. Look at how high that number is, $1.15 million. That's huge. Through and following the pandemic, our annual gala had been adapted to an online format. Last year, we had a wonderful return to an in-person program. We honored 2-time trustee and alumnus Stasia Mento Maloney, and definitely had a night to remember. It was a lot of fun. We transformed this very library space into a wonderful lounge with all of the accoutrements, a cocktail reception at the Krebs Distillery, great food, and a few magic pops like Eleanor Leonard's band. We had some specialty cotton candy, a caricaturist. We did nearly have to settle a physical altercation over the Eagles ticket and basket raffles, but no one was hurt in the melee, so that means it was a party. I'm happy to share that this November's honoree is Tracy Davidson. In addition to her anchor role with NBC, Tracy has been an inspirational member of our board of trustees. She is our 2nd honorary degree recipient, and she's been dedicated and engaged in encouraging women into leadership. So needless to say, we're planning another party, and this one is going to be even better. Please just make sure that none of our students ever say those words. Last year, we announced the amazing Madeline Dean scholarships that Tom helped us to secure. They have been and are being drawn down to help some 200 plus of our students who are refugees, immigrants, and first-generation college students. Tom's newest strategies have really been focusing on helping us to grow our relationships with major benefactors. Now, this year, there were only 2 or 3 fundraising ideas of Tom's that we rejected. A fundraising appeal ghostwritten for Father Tripita by Jason Kelsey in his retirement, and inspired by the Olympics, JD's Caber Toss Summer Camp fundraiser. Of course, there was one other. There was also the Nick Rudnitsky debate and witty sarcasm contest. We had to say no to that. Where's Nick? We had to say no to that. There he is. He's hiding. See him back there? Look at him. He's between the stacks. We had to say no because it was unwinnable. It was like the Kobayashi Maru. Now, slide 60 here. In real advancement news, the new summer scholarship program was a fundraise of $160,000 that covers 100% of summer tuition for any student who wishes to take a handful of our most popular courses from 24 through 2026. And this is thanks to Greg and Beverly Devens, Independence Blue Cross, Jim and Lorene Nevels, Leslie Turner, and Doctors Robert and Andrea Orsher. So thank you to each and all of them. A few other quick advancement mentions. Our Manor Day of Giving resulted in $45,000 in various scholarship and fund supplements, all happening in one day with incredible campus enthusiasm and leadership level financial support from our Board of Trustees. We had our first Manor golf outing in probably several decades or maybe ever, and that's me there on the far right. I'm really bad at it, but I tell people I'm good. And then I say it driving the golf cart. Proceeds went to Manor's athletic department for women's athletics. Thank you to John Singh and Snee Talati for conceptualizing and organizing the program. And thank you to Kelly and Tom and the marketing and advancement offices, plus volunteers from other offices like admissions, for throwing their shoulders behind support for the program. And we have another golf outing program coming up in 25. Thank you to the advancement and marketing offices for their support with our Ukraine dialogue programs, which are now in live hybrid format robustly. These programs have really come into their own with sponsorship from the UK RFCU, and our next program will be aligned with UKK's annual conference in Philadelphia. So let me just see, are Paula and Adriana here? Oh, Paula's here. Great. So our friendships, including with Paula, our gala, our faith, and our dedication to our institutional Ukrainian roots have also fostered new blessings from the esteemed artist Adriana Henkels, who will be joining us soon. Adriana's collections have been in venues including Grazda Art and Music Center in New York, the Ukrainian Museum in New York City, the Woodmere Art Museum in Philadelphia, the Wayne Arts Center, Bjorn and Company Gallery, Tailored Home, Philadelphia Arts Crawl, and the list goes on and on and on. Adriana has been gracious enough to share one of her inspiring collections with us in our library here on your right, and she and her family have shared their blessings with our students. She's very modest and she doesn't want any fanfare, so we'll honor her wishes, but we're also going to please give her a round of applause, a huge thank you for sharing that with us. In the last year, it feels like there's been a lot of academic advancement and refining done by our faculty and our deans and our provost. Progress is happening at every level of academic affairs. With the academic affairs leadership team, there's been more and better conversations, professional development, and new program development, and we should thank Dr. Gillespie, our provost, and our deans, Dr. Senikoff, Dean of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Sims, preceding Dr. Yancey, who's now interim Dean of Business Education and Professional Studies, Dean Simpson for Allied Health, and Dean Rudnitsky for academic services. Thank you all. With admissions under the provost and a new dean of admissions, Dr. Miles, collaboration between the offices remains strong. So we thank you all again, and thank you for working in such caring synergy. This is a good juncture to mention the commitment our faculty and faculty leadership have shared with our students. As you all know, because it's you who are doing it, every day you're helping our students not only to navigate their academic challenges, but also their life challenges. That is who we are, and it is why we're here. For those who aren't familiar with the story of Yelizaveta Mazepa, please allow me to share. Yelizaveta began her journey to America from Lviv, Ukraine, shortly after the war escalated in February of 2022. She took her 8-month-old son, Philip, and their dog, while Russia was invading and military tanks were tearing down her street, tearing up her street. There's nothing left of the street. And she fled. The problem was that everything was closed, including gas stations. There was literally nowhere that anyone could go. So she fled on foot to a neighboring village, and she hid. Yelizaveta stayed in the village for the next month. She said that the nights were the worst. Sirens going off constantly, warning of the oncoming attacks, continuous worry about where rockets would land. When she and Philip did sleep, they stayed in the doorways between two rooms because that's the safest place in case the building collapses. And when the attacks weren't happening, the war raged, inescapable. And she turned on the television to see emergency messages or news reports on the unprovoked death and destruction. And she said during the first month of the attack, you'd hear how soldiers found mass cemeteries left behind. I just don't understand, why do they hate us so much? With their dog Ronald in a small bag over her shoulder and Philip in a sling across her chest, Yelizaveta ran from the village and kept going as far as her feet would carry her, exiting the country. Aside from each other and their small go bag, she left everything, her whole life, left everything in Ukraine. And to this day, her car remains parked in the village outside of Lviv, if that car hasn't been bombed or otherwise destroyed. Her first steps to the United States began after she left Ukraine, and she and her family entered Poland. Over the next 3 months, Yelizaveta and her family fled to 2 cities in Spain and then to Frankfurt, Germany. For the next 2.5 months, she and her supporters called the U.S. Embassy every single day, trying to get her into the United States. After many trying days and nights, she finally got here. And she said, I can breathe again. As a doctorally prepared pediatrician, she had prepared at a Ukrainian university for 8 years, and she'd been 7 years practicing, experienced in her field. But in the United States, her physician degrees and licenses didn't transfer. So after searching around and finding no help anywhere, someone at the UECC awakened her to Manor, and she got an introduction to Dean Rudnitsky. And he spoke with her in Ukrainian. And here's what she said. I remember the day he met us because he was the person that finally gave me some calm. He told me everything will be fine. Yelizaveta's prior degree and her work experience, it did count for something. With help from Dr. Senikoff, Yelizaveta enrolled in an accelerated fashion. She additionally received financial support through the Madeline Dean Congressional Grant. God indeed has a plan. And what I'm leading up to here are these two statements of Yelizaveta's. Talking about Nick and Julie, she said, I don't know what would have happened if not for them. They are my angels sent from God. Yelizaveta has completed her coursework and she's now enrolled in a bachelor's nursing program. She will be able to provide for Philip and care for our world. When we love our students in caring synergy as brothers and sisters and think about them and their children as our children, when we give them grace and peace and encourage them to overcome the insurmountable, they can and they do succeed. Thank you, Deans Senikoff and Rudnitsky, and thank you to all of our faculty. There are scores more of stories like this that we can tell you about where you have given our students grace, peace, and fortitude. Thank you. In the last academic year, we had 131 students on our dean's list in the fall, and 104 in the spring, a collective increase of 41 more students over the prior year. We had 10 Vasiliad Scholars Awards acknowledging candidates for graduation speaker, and many academic excellence awards conferred by our academic divisions during convocation. Faculty's efforts, supported by academic affairs and other offices such as financial aid, kept us within reach of our 80% persistence rate from fall to spring. Our aspirations with Title III take us even higher. Some faculty and academic affairs highlights include, this is among many, this is just a few, the awarding of our Title III grant. This is a life-changing award win for Manor. $1.47 million in federal funding over 5 years, covering 75% of total project costs. The grant specifically helps eligible institutions of higher education to become self-sufficient and expand their capacity to serve low-income students by providing funds to improve and strengthen the academic quality, institutional management, and fiscal stability of the eligible institutions. So I want to thank, and let's please thank, everyone who was a part of that committee, led by John Krebs, and including Dr. Julie Senikoff, Dr. Cherie Crosby Weeks, VP Ali Moots, Dean Nick Rudnitsky, Eleanor Leonards, Anissa Rodriguez, and Michael Blows. Thank you. The current committee includes these same leaders, and Michael Clark and Amy McLaughlin, who we welcome. And their work product has included the development of our new Career Development Office and Director role, Summer Bridge Program, Professional Development, and the rollout of our Navigate Retention Alert software. Last year, we were strikingly distinctive in guiding our students to many achievements and accolades. You know that I cannot mention them all from each of our divisions, but just to name a few, the Allied Health Division conferred 46 degrees to our students in May. They awarded 16 academic excellence awards. The State Board of Nursing approved our practical nursing program. Congratulations, Dr. Marty Trudeau. And please make a mental note, September 20th will be our ribbon cutting on our practical nursing skills lab downstairs. The dental hygiene program continued to see excellence in student performance on all board examinations. You can see all three there, 100%. I'd say that's a pretty good note to retire on. So let's please congratulate Dr. Virginia Saunders. The EFTA program also continues to show its excellence in student board performance. 100% here on the RHS pass rate. Program graduate employment rates, 100%. Dean Simpson also authored and achieved a 6th Independence Blue Cross grant for the Dental Health Center. Thank you, Jamie. Great work. Vet Tech program also met its 3-year pass rate objectives, with Dr. Marks earning the Association of Veterinary Technology Educators inaugural class of fellows distinction, and Dr. Bartholomew was recognized as a Cornell University Veterinary Educators Academy Fellow. Congratulations. Arts and Sciences had 29 students graduate at commencement. There were 5 Academic Excellence Awards given at convocation. Jenny Bushell received the Outstanding Educator Award at Founders Day, and that picture is really small because I forgot to shave that day. In collaboration with Dean Senecoff and John Krebs, Jenny also developed our Psychology Bachelor's Degree program launching this fall. Congratulations, Jenny, Julie, and John. Professor Leslie Weinfeld moved from the Business Education Professional Studies Division, and she is now assuming responsibilities for mathematics within Arts and Sciences. In Business Education and Professional Studies, there were 37 degrees conferred, 6 Excellence Awards at academic convocation. Eddie Fortescue was named our commencement speaker, got a BBA. Dr. Tim Yancey, appointed to the position of Business Program Director. Dr. Mary Sims, served as Dean, and Mary will now be returning to faculty and advising. With our appreciation for her time shared as Dean, we thank you, Mary. And Dr. Yancey is appointed Interim Dean. Congratulations, Dr. Yancey. The annual Social Justice Symposium was held in March of 2024. The theme of the conference was Innocent Until Proven Guilty, and led by Mary Sims. If you missed the program, you missed something significant. And I can't emphasize enough how important this series is on our campus. There were numerous great speakers, and I won't name them all, but I will mention that we hosted a long-standing Philadelphia Inquirer, organized crime reporter, and 2 individuals who advocated for the overturning of the murder conviction of an innocent young African-American man who was the youngest person ever in Pennsylvania to suffer the death penalty, 13 years old. 91 years later, he was completely exonerated. So I want to thank you again to Mary and everyone who helped support our Social Justice Symposium. Thank you, Mary. In academic services, we had the promotion of Eleanor Leonards to Title III coordinator, and that's resulted in Michael Blows taking up the responsibilities of overseeing the Learning Center in addition to his support duties. The Title III grant enabled us to hire a full-time career services director, Michael Clark, and Amy McLaughlin, Director of Professional Development and Instructional Design. We welcome you both and congratulate you all. The Learning Center with Eleanor and Michael scheduled over 700 tutoring sessions last year with more than 150 students in order to help them to improve their academic performance. In academic support and retention, the team of Eleanor, Michael, Anissa worked together admirably in connecting with each student with serious academic challenges to help them to make satisfactory academic progress. Career advising served 78 students in the spring and provided various services. We had our spring career fair in April. That was a really great career fair. If you had a chance to attend that, it was really well attended and robust with employers. Anissa, as Disability Services Officer, served 23 students, providing various accommodations for them, and she's now chair of the Academic Appeals Committee. Numerous dual enrollment efforts have been pursued by Nick, and Nick also helped us to launch a new legal studies program with Barbary. We're still working with Ed2Go, providing numerous continuing education programs. Thank you, Nick. Tom Sims and Nick brought together 5 professional development certificates that we hope will draw new and corporate interest in the college. We just had one of the Chambers of Commerce approach us yesterday about partnering with us on that, which is awesome. And then I also want to thank especially Diane and Nick for helping us through with anthology. Michael Landis remains our Faculty Senate Chair. Congratulations to Michael and Stacy Bartholomew, who's now Vice Chair, and Kelly Barron. They are our Faculty Senate leaders. Michael also remains our Middle States Co-Chair with Dean Jamie Simpson and VP Student Affairs Ali Moots. Let's take a moment to thank all of our faculty and all of our supporting staff for a really amazing year and year ahead. Thank you. Since we're talking Middle States, let's segue for a moment here to our upcoming self-study. We have made really significant progress already. Namely, thanks to our co-chairs, we attended the Self-Study Institute, we formed our working committees, designed our study, and had our design approved. So this year, the work of conducting the self-study really begins. If you're rusty and you need a refresher, there's a 30-minute YouTube video that our co-chairs recorded when we did our self-study kickoff. If you go to the Manor YouTube page, you can find it. One thing I'd like to ask our faculty and our Middle States teams to help us to examine as they're going through the process is our balance of in-person versus hybrid versus online course modalities. As John Krebs shared with our college management team just this last May, there was a recent Gallup Lumina Foundation study that offered a number of revelations post-pandemic. And in this context, there were two that were key. First is that the number 5 reason, you can see we already addressed most of the other reasons, the number 5 reason that students don't come to college is because of lack of remote learning. This reason, however, increased most precipitously. And number 2, education's quality leans in favor of being face-to-face. And that means we have a conflict. Education's better when it's face-to-face, but our students view it as a barrier to education. So if you look at the two, mostly in-person learning and equal in-person learning and online, they are the split that King Solomon might not make the compromise on. They do, however, create the allure of a reduced barrier while maintaining stronger academic quality performance. So I'm asking you, our faculty who are here today and faculty leadership, to strike the balance, help us to get there, to strike the balance to more consistent delivery of an institutional learning modality. I'm not asking for a one-size-fits-all, but a one-size-fits-most to help us to attract more students to our mission and so that we can deliver quality education more effectively. So now that takes us to faculty promotions and hires. We congratulate a number of our faculty who have been promoted and hired. The top portion here is promotions and the bottom is hires. Congratulations again to Tim, as well as to Kathy and Dory and Stephanie, Sally, Aisha, Gina, and starting in September, Kimberly. Congratulations to you all. And there's a reason that the Philadelphia Business Journal, this is going back maybe 3 weeks, has just named us as among the 100 largest employers in Greater Philadelphia. We congratulate staff promotions and hires. Chris, John Simula, and Eleanor, congratulations on your promotions. And we congratulate Damien, who's also a Manor alum, Sarah, Aaliyah, Christina, Ilya, Liz, Michael and Michael, Tom and Tom, Carol, another Michael, Ashley, Amy, Matthew, Joe, Reginald, Ryan, Jessica, Jamila, Malik, Charles, Michael, Mike, which makes 5 Mikes, which brings some competition to the 5 Johns we've got on campus. Tom, a second one, Tamara and Lisa. No, is it Tom? Yeah, Tom's the second one. And Tamara and Lisa. Is there anybody that I missed? Because last year I missed one of our coaches. No? Okay, good. Great. As we congratulate everyone on these career milestones and new chapters at Manor, we share with our new colleagues that the You Belong Here culture at Manor is one where we are actively and consistently engaged in inclusivity, especially if your name is John. The Michaels will have to set up their own picture. The DEIA committee has been reformed in the last year, and we congratulate Dr. Tim Yancey and Carol Havens as our new co-chairs. They are working with the committee on a DEIA strategic plan to include 3 things, among others, as strategic priorities. 1, securing a location on Manor's website to keep a regularly updated repository of what we have done, because we've done a lot, and what we're going to do to evidence our commitment to DEIA as a campus community. 2, ensuring we have monthly activities associated with DEIA. And 3, developing KPIs that track, measure, and assess our DEIA work with an eye toward continuous improvement. I understand the DEIA committee has been meeting with regularity and is working on these and other initiatives with all of our appreciation. Thank you. Thank you both, and thank you to the committee. Commencement is always a collaborative program. Last academic year, we enjoyed another outdoor lawn ceremony. We barely escaped the rain, with probably our largest group of guests, about 650, if you can believe that. 112 graduates, 93 who processed. That 112-93 is actually the largest percentage of processing graduates in more than 12 years. We had a wonderful MC and trustee Sandy Girifalco again. She's on the top right there. An inspiring speaker in Independence Blue Cross President Greg Devens. He's really such a fantastic man. Greg was Manor's first African-American male to receive our honorary degree, and he is our 3rd honorary degree recipient only to the President of Ukraine himself, Volodymyr Zelensky, and NBC 10 anchor, women's rights advocate, and Manor trustee Tracy Davidson. Greg was honored because of his resolute determination to ensure equitable, whole-person health care and his focus on reducing racial and economic health inequities in healthcare. Thank you to our commencement committee, student affairs, and our faculty for making it one of the most memorable commencement ceremonies that we have ever enjoyed. Thank you. There was an increase in events and students engaged, moving from 45 2 years ago to 53 in the prior year. Maybe that was 3 years ago, and then the prior year. We went up from 45 to 53 to 111. 111 events and activities for our students. Our student clubs increased from 11 to 13, and our LEAD, Student Leadership Skills Development Program, has also come into its own, engaging students in ways that palpably engender their future leadership skills. We received a 5th It's On Us grant of $37,000 to help support education regarding the prevention of sexual assault and harassment. Manor's community service hours were up nearly 30% from 516 the prior year. I want to pause here for a moment to recognize Dr. Cherie Crosby Weeks. Cherie is involved with so many student and community projects and activities, from those that are organized by Student Affairs to those that she organizes, such as helping the Breathing Room Foundation. She is definitely and has been in caring synergy with student engagement, and we should thank you, Dr. Cherie Crosby Weeks. In residence life, we thanked Shamika Ford for her service and wished her well. She went on to the George School. We welcome Ashley Hoffner into the new role of Director of Student Engagement and Residence Life. Welcome, Ashley. in this role, she will have the support of 2 graduate students, Jamila and Malik, plus her RAs. Ashley has been running a mile a minute, as you can see on the right there, to prepare for the fall and our new student orientation later this week. And we welcome you all, Ashley, Jamila, and Malik. Now, this may be a little bit hard to see, but our students, I can tell you what it is. Our student conduct incidents have decreased by 1, with a total number of 38, which is actually quite low. There was a time when we were approaching triple digits, and we're doing really good now in this area. The culture of our residence hall changed. It changed after the pandemic, and there's some lessons for us in that. Our residence hall focused programming was about 25% lower than last year, and that gives Ashley some opportunity. Christy Prince held 297 individual counseling sessions in the prior year, which decreased this last year to 268, and that's good. Recognizing this decrease, the severity, unfortunately, of the challenges went up for our students. So Christy had to refer more of our students than in previous years to a psychiatrist for medical evaluations and medication management, as well as a therapist for ongoing counseling. And we also implemented a psychiatric emergency fund last year with the assistance of Board of Trustee member Stasia Mento-Maloney. Our students who are in need of a psychiatric evaluation and follow-up, but who do not have the financial means, this is the program where they are eligible to apply for these funds. So Christy also leads our student concern team, which helps identify at-risk students and guides them to counseling and resources such as our Student Emergency Fund, the Bird Feed Food Pantry, and we thank you, Christy, for all of your support for our students throughout the year and every year. Thank you. The Campus Support Services Committee, now in its 6th year, is another important instrument of student support. The committee focuses on our homeless students, students in foster care, students who have food insecurities. The committee assisted students with food from our community garden. 31 student families received grocery cards. That was an increase from the prior year. And through the committee's work, several students were identified as needing laptops, which we were able to secure through Manor's Safe Fund. And that itself has supplied thousands of emergency support dollars to our students, which we contribute up to $500 per student. Our Director of Health Services position was filled by Jen Winters, who returned to us, serving 157 students and staff members in the last year. Jen has been regularly engaging our campus community with a variety of events and activities, such as our vaccine clinics, the campus walking group, basic life-saving classes, and much more. And we thank you, Jennifer. In athletics, we thank JD and our coaches for a very successful year. Manor had 31 student athletes make the All-American team due to their GPAs being greater than 3.5. That's double what it was last year. Great job by our coaches and JD. The men's soccer team won the ESAC championship for the first time in Manor College history, defeating Central Penn College. Great job there. Our women's outdoor track team did well with every member of the team with over a 3.0 GPA. Good job. You know, in our listening, the last 2 listening tours, one of the comments that came up was we have to really make sure that our students who are engaged in athletics are attending to their academics first. And this is definitely evidence of that. The men's basketball team finished the season with the most wins in 4 years and the best conference record since joining the USCAA. The men's basketball season ended with an ESAC championship game appearance, and they were the number 7 seed in the USCAA National Championship Tournament. Great job there by the coach. Baseball, thank you for him. Baseball is back, and some of you know the backstory there. With the support of Trustee Girafalco and Senator Haywood, and Representative Sanchez, who are the representatives for the district that we're in, and Dwayne Morris Law Firm, who volunteered their time for us. And our AD, JD, Alverthorpe Park Field A, became available to Manor's baseball team after we had previously and erroneously been precluded from use of this prime field. And our team won their first game and had a great season. Thank you, everybody who was a part of that. We appreciate our public safety office, and we welcome our new office manager, Joe McCourt. Joe, welcome. Joe comes to us after 19 years of service at Harcum College as their lead and senior officer in campus safety. His extensive experience and training, specifically in the higher education field and the first responder field within it, makes him a welcome addition to our public safety department. In the last year, we upped our video surveillance storage time from just a few days to 30 days, and we increased our number of camera locations, such as our barn, and monitoring capabilities, enhancing an already robust set of safety structures and a national credential. Let's please thank Allie Moots and everyone in Student Affairs for their incredible work. So today's Welcome Back Day presentation was really just the tip of the iceberg. We have been blessed. We have robustly lived Manor's mission in the last year, and we will persist with our Basilian vision of the development of our students into successful and compassionate members of our community. Manor's strategic planning process, Caring with Purpose, is very much aligned with this year's theme of caring synergy. We are a robust, associate's and bachelor's granting liberal arts institution that cares about our world and how our students will emerge within it as victors. As we buck the trend and thrive against the competition, delivering academic and holistic excellence with affordability, we position our institution for growth. And we go forth, wholly committed to each other and to our students in caring synergy. Thank you. So before we go anywhere, there's a few more slides to share with you here. We always love to conclude by welcoming our new Blue Jay babies. Can you tell who's stealing the show here in this little set of pictures? We've got Board of Trustees Chairman Dennis McGrath, who welcomes his fifth grandchild, Frederick Jacob, on the left, born February 28th, and that's to Dennis's daughter, Laura. Kelly Pfeiffer, VP of Marketing Communications, welcomed her third child, Marie Jean Pfeiffer, April 11th. And look at her with that bow. And faculty member David Bleiweiss has welcomed another grandchild, baby Maxwell J. Zeman, born on Wednesday, March 6th, to Dave's daughter, Melanie, and son-in-law, Don. We congratulate them all. They're all adorable, adorable blessings. Okay, so now here's some fun facts about our incoming class of freshmen. The year that most of them were born, the Human Genome Project published the final chromosome sequence. It's the year that they were born in Nature, and Google purchased YouTube for $1.65 billion. I asked Gemini, how much is that worth today? It said, well, a little less than $2 billion. The very last installment of the Indiana Jones movie, which my son calls the old Indiana Jones movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, came out when they were 2. When they were 3, Bitcoin was created. At 7 was the Snowden debacle. And when they were in first grade, there was the Euromaidan, where the pro-EU demonstrations began in Ukraine, and that was to oust President Viktor Yanukovych because he had rejected an economic association agreement between the EU and Ukraine, and he rejected it in favor of trying to be aligned with Russia. When they were in 4th grade, The final video cassette recorder was manufactured by the Japanese company Funai. By the way, I refuse to get rid of my VHS recorder. I still have all the tapes. I'm keeping them. They're not going anywhere. Our incoming students have been using AI to bolster their coursework, believe it or not, since 6th grade. And some of our fun facts here, mostly the ones in the back half, those were created by Google's Gemini. These next 2 or 3. A significant portion of our incoming class learned about current events, more about current events, history, and even science from TikTok than from traditional textbooks. And this constant stimulation, we already know this stuff at the end here, from social media, it has really impacted their ability to focus. But they are also recognizing this in themselves and saying that, yes, we love technology, but we also want the outdoors and outdoor activities. So in conclusion to the conclusion here, let's show our students that they really belong here. And so I want to thank you again. Thank you for your gift, the gift of your thoughtfulness and of your presence this morning. And let's say together, God bless our students. God bless you. God bless the Sisters of St. Basil who founded us. God bless our board and our board committees. And may God bless Manor College. Thank you all so much.